Y'all ain't ready for this one. Charlie Kirk's world just got a whole lot messier, and the truth? It's way deeper than anyone's been reporting. Let me tell you what really went down. Because what you're about to hear is straight from the whispers, the warnings, and the family texts nobody thought would leak. Sources close to Charlie say his parents weren't shy about it. From day one, they had serious concerns about Erika, and they didn't mince words. "Watch yourself," they reportedly said. "Not everyone who smiles is on your side." And now, those warnings are looking a lot more serious. Because what's been bubbling behind closed doors is finally breaking the surface. The drama isn't just about personalities, it's about trust, influence, and power in ways that could change everything you thought you knew. Family tensions, allegiances tested, conversations that were meant to stay private, now viral. People are talking, clips are surfacing, and the story is spreading faster than anyone can keep up with. Imagine the late-night texts, the side conversations, the quiet moments of doubt. That's where the real story lives. And insiders say the tipping point came when a private decision collided with public pressure, forcing the truth into daylight. And let me tell you what's coming out now. It's not pretty. It's raw, and it's viral ready. Y'all seen the headlines. But what you haven't seen? The layers, the emotions, the betrayals, the "I told you so" moments. And as this story unfolds, one thing's clear: this isn't just drama, it's a cautionary tale, a lesson in influence, and a peek behind the curtain at what happens when warnings go ignored. Stay tuned, because what's happening next is going to shock a lot of people. And trust me, the full story is way deeper than it looks. Y'all, let me paint the picture for you, because this isn't some tabloid rumor you skim and forget. This is the kind of story where every text, every phone call, every quiet warning matters. And Charlie Kirk? He walked right into a storm his parents tried to shield him from, and now the truth? It's finally crawling into the daylight. See, the chatter started long before any headlines hit. Sources say Charlie's parents weren't just casually concerned, they were visibly uneasy about Erika. Not the "she's different" kind of uneasy, but the "this woman has a strategy, and I don't think it's in Charlie's favor" kind. Late-night phone calls, hushed warnings, repeated advice. "Charlie, slow down. Watch the signs. Don't let charm blind you." And y'all, apparently, he brushed it off. Because in moments like this, ego and ambition have a way of muting even the loudest warnings. Insiders say the tension wasn't subtle. There were family dinners where Erika would charm the room, laugh a little too rehearsed, flirt just a little too calculated, and Charlie's parents noticed. "It's all performance," one source whispered. "She knows how to get what she wants." And behind those smiles, the warning signs were stacking like a deck of cards, ready to fall. Then things escalated. Texts started leaking, not the malicious kind, but the ones that hinted at secret maneuvers and conversations behind closed doors. Charlie's parents were in the group chats, silently observing, dropping small hints that something wasn't right. One text, which has gone viral in insider circles, reportedly read, "You said what? You really think you can handle her? Watch your back." And it wasn't just family dynamics. Friends and close aides noticed a pattern. Erika had a way of isolating Charlie, subtly reshaping his schedule, his circle, his decisions. At first, it was small stuff. Canceled lunch with a longtime friend, sidestepping advice from mentors, private meetings that weren't shared with anyone. But those little moves were the early tremors before the quake. Y'all seen this play out in every high-profile story. The charm. The control. The subtle manipulations that aren't obvious until it's too late. And here, insiders say it got twisted, fast. "She was smart," one former confidant said. "She wasn't out to destroy him, but she knew exactly which strings to pull to get him where she wanted." And Charlie? Blinded by ambition, ego, and, yeah, a little infatuation, he didn't notice the net tightening. Then came the first major sign that things were spiraling. Family members began speaking out privately, trying to drop hints without causing a scene. Phone calls in the middle of the night. Direct questions. Is she really the person you think she is? But by this point, the story had taken on a life of its own. Social media whispers, Casual leaks from mutual friends, screenshots from private conversations. Suddenly, the narrative wasn't just in Charlie's living room. It was in everyone's feed, and that's where the tension got truly viral. Clips of Erika laughing in ways that seemed rehearsed. Screenshots of texts showing subtle power plays. Observers piecing together patterns of influence. Every tiny detail became part of a story bigger than either of them. And what's wild? People online could see the cracks before Charlie did. Insiders also say that Erika wasn't playing a single-handed game. She had allies, intentionally or not, who helped amplify her position. People who understood how to nudge the narrative in her favor, how to create an image while keeping the real story behind closed doors. And that's where it got twisted. Friends who Charlie thought were neutral were quietly reporting back. Allies he trusted were caught in crosscurrents of influence. The deeper you dig, the more you realize it wasn't personal. It was strategic, surgical, and meticulously executed. By this point, Charlie's parents reportedly felt a mix of frustration and fear. Not just for their son's reputation, but for the trajectory of his relationships, career, and public image. They tried again, calm, deliberate warnings. Don't ignore the signs. This could cost you more than you know. But once charm meets ambition, even the strongest warnings can sound like noise. And here's where the story twists further. Sources say Erika's moves weren't just about influence. They were designed to provoke reactions. Subtle disagreements, public appearances that hinted at tension, small leaks meant to test loyalty. It wasn't chaos for chaos's sake. It was a calculated pressure cooker. And Charlie? He was in the center, unaware he was the main ingredient. By the time the first leaks hit public channels, the story had already snowballed. Friends, aides, even social media detectives started noticing patterns, sudden changes in Charlie's schedule, cryptic posts on social media, moments where he appeared distracted, anxious, or conflicted. And the narrative wasn't just entertainment. It became a lesson in strategy, loyalty, and the power of perception. People online began connecting the dots, piecing together the history they hadn't been privy to. Early warnings, family advice, the charm offensive, subtle manipulations. And for the audience, it became a spectacle that felt both personal and viral, relatable yet shocking. Everyone was watching, tweeting, analyzing, and theorizing. Every move, text, or comment was another piece of the puzzle. Another viral moment that fueled the story's momentum. And here's what's most twisted. Even after months, insiders say some of the warnings that Charlie's parents gave still resonate. "We tried to tell him," a source said. But sometimes the person who needs to hear it the most isn't ready yet. And when they finally do, the consequences are already in motion. And that's the viral truth. The deeper the warning, the more explosive the fallout. But let me tell you, this isn't just drama for clicks. It's a study in human behavior, influence, and the cost of ignoring warnings. Ambition, trust, and manipulation all collide here. And the stakes? Personal, emotional, and yes, viral. Every subtle move, every hidden conversation, every late-night message contributed to a storm that no one could have controlled once it broke online. And the fans? They were merciless. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, everyone had a take. Screenshots, analysis videos, commentary threads dissecting every move. People weren't just entertained. They were invested in a real-life cautionary tale, watching the ripple effect of influence and decision-making play out in real time. Charlie Kirk's parents weren't wrong. They saw the pattern, they sounded the alarms, and they tried to prepare him. But charm, strategy, and ambition? They're hard to counter when you're in the middle of the narrative. And that's why this story is more than drama. It's a viral, twisted cautionary tale about the power of foresight, the consequences of ignoring warnings, and the chaos that follows when influence meets ambition. And the wildest part? This is just the beginning. The leaks, the twists, the family conflicts, they're all pieces of a story that's far from over. Because when the truth finally comes out, it's not just headlines, it's a revelation, a lesson, and a reminder that sometimes The warnings you ignore are the ones that hit the hardest. Now, y'all, this is where the story gets messy. The part nobody saw coming, but everyone felt coming. See, once the warnings were ignored, once the subtle manipulations became patterns, the tension didn't just simmer, it exploded. And the fallout? Let's just say it wasn't polite, it wasn't clean, and it sure as hell wasn't private anymore. Sources close to the situation say the first real escalation started when friends of Charlie began noticing odd shifts in behavior. Simple things at first: canceled dinners, cryptic Instagram posts, sudden trips that weren't explained. But small cracks have a way of turning into gaping holes when the pressure builds. And insiders say Erika didn't stumble here. She moved with precision. Every public smile, every private text, every seemingly casual conversation had purpose. And here's the wild part. People close to Charlie reportedly started talking among themselves, quietly dissecting Erika's moves. She's smart, one friend said. Too smart sometimes. She knows exactly how to get in your head. That's when the first leaked texts hit social media. Screenshots of screenshots, whispers that turned into viral threads. Everyone suddenly felt like they were in the room witnessing it unfold. Now, let's pause for a second. Think about the psychological weight of this. Charlie's parents had been warning him for months. Friends had been dropping subtle hints. And the public? They were clueless. He was surrounded by caution, and yet the chaos found him anyway. Insiders say a critical moment came during a private family dinner. Erika, according to sources, brought up topics that seemed innocent but were calculated pressure points. Testing loyalty, probing insecurities, gauging reactions. Charlie's parents reportedly exchanged glances, the kind parents share when they know something is off but the child doesn't yet. This ain't just charm, one source said. It's strategy. And Charlie? He was caught in the middle. Ambition, ego, and yes, emotion, clouding his judgment. One former aide said he noticed him getting defensive in ways that seemed uncharacteristic. You said what? I told you about my respect, he allegedly said during a private argument that was later leaked. The tension wasn't just interpersonal. It was public in whispers, private in intensity, and viral in impact. Then came the digital escalation. Screenshots of texts, subtweets, and behind-the-scenes revelations began circulating online. People started connecting dots that Charlie hadn't even realized existed. Friends who had previously tried to mediate? Now they were trapped in a web of allegiances, unsure how to act without triggering fallout. And the pressure? It didn't just build. It became a storm. But here's what most people don't see: the emotional calculus behind it all. Loyalty, ego, fear, and ambition collided in ways that were painfully human. Charlie's parents weren't just trying to protect a public figure, they were protecting their son. Erika wasn't just maneuvering for influence, she was navigating survival, ambition, and perception. And the digital world? It was amplifying every misstep, magnifying every tension, turning private whispers into viral spectacles. Insiders say a turning point came when Charlie confronted Erika after a series of subtle leaks. According to sources, "Nah, this ain't over, bro," he allegedly said. "You think it is?" came the reply. That confrontation, reportedly explosive, was a mix of frustration, betrayal, and raw emotion. Friends and family members say it changed the dynamic instantly. The manipulations weren't subtle anymore. They were exposed, and the stakes were sky high. But here's the kicker. Erika wasn't fazed. Sources say she had anticipated the confrontation. "She's calculated," one insider whispered. She expected pushback. That's the point. She wants to see how far he'll go and how far others will bend. And in that moment, Charlie realized the warnings weren't paranoia. They were survival instincts from people who saw the game clearly from the start. After this, the story got even more tangled. Family members began speaking out behind closed doors. Friends took sides and social media. Well, it was relentless. Every cryptic post, every story update, every subtle hint became a viral clue in a narrative that was rapidly spinning out of control. Screenshots of conversations, commentary videos dissecting behavior, tweets speculating motives. It was a cultural microscope on personal chaos, and the fallout didn't just hit Charlie. It hit the ecosystem around him. Trusted aides felt caught in the crossfire. Friends wondered who was loyal and who was aligned with the rising narrative. The entire situation became a lesson in perception versus reality. And the lesson? Trust is fragile. Influence is subtle. And the consequences are exponential once the warning signs go ignored. The tension wasn't just psychological. It had tangible consequences. Career decisions were delayed. Public appearances were scrutinized. Relationships fractured. And insiders say it wasn't just personal drama. It was a lesson in leadership, loyalty, and the power of strategic thinking. Every move had ripples. Every decision mattered. And once social media caught wind, those ripples became waves that no one could control. People online started theorizing wildly. "She's manipulating him," one thread said. "This is 100% planned," claimed another. And the deeper you look, the more evidence seemed to support it. Patterns of behavior, shifts in schedule, selective communication, subtle gaslighting, all painting a picture that was hard to ignore. But here's what's twisted. While the narrative seemed chaotic, insiders insist it was highly orchestrated on multiple sides. Erika, consciously or not, played the chessboard with precision. Charlie's parents and closest allies tried to protect him, but even the best defense can crumble against strategy and social amplification. And that's why this story has gone viral. It's a perfect storm of ambition, manipulation, emotion, and spectacle. One former aide described a particularly tense moment when Charlie realized the magnitude of the influence around him. "It's like he finally saw the strings," they said. But by then, some of the damage was already done. And what's wild? The world was watching. Clips of moments, screenshots, commentary, it all spread like wildfire. Charlie's personal challenges became public obsession, a lesson in human behavior turned viral content. And the moral undertone here? Loyalty, perception, and self-awareness are everything. Ignoring warnings doesn't just put you at risk, it puts everyone around you at risk too. Charlie's story, insiders say, is a cautionary tale for anyone in high-stakes spaces. The louder the charm, the sharper the edge. The more control someone seems to have, the more you have to watch the subtle signs. By now, the situation had escalated to the point where even minor interactions carried weight. A smile in the wrong context, a pause in conversation, a cryptic social media post, all became data points in a rapidly unfolding drama. And Charlie, the person at the center, was forced to reconcile with months of warnings he didn't fully heed. Insiders claim there were nights where the tension was unbearable. Calls lasting hours, family debates spilling into private texts, friends caught between loyalty to Charlie and honesty about Erika's influence. And social media? It amplified every misstep, every emotional spike, every cryptic interaction, turning the story into a real-time viral narrative that felt both personal and universal. And the kicker? No one knows exactly how it will end. The story keeps evolving. Every leak, every post, every insider revelation is another twist. And insiders say Charlie is learning, slowly, painfully, that warnings are more than advice. They're lessons in survival, strategy, and self-preservation. The public fascination isn't just about celebrity drama, it's a masterclass in human psychology, influence, and the cost of ignoring what people tell you to watch for. It's messy, it's twisted, and it's raw, but it's also viral, because everyone sees themselves in some part of it. Ambition versus caution, trust versus charm, ego versus wisdom, and when those forces collide, you get a story that won't just trend. It will linger, haunt, and spark debate for months. So, as the leaks continue, as friends and family navigate the fallout, and as social media tears every interaction apart, one thing is crystal clear. Charlie Kirk's parents weren't wrong. Erika's influence wasn't subtle. It was strategic. And the public? They're witnessing a vicious, viral lesson in loyalty, power, and perception that feels too real to ignore. And y'all better believe this isn't over. Every text, every post, Every whisper is a breadcrumb leading to a story that's far from finished. And the deeper you dig, the more you realize. Sometimes, the warnings you ignore are the ones that shape your future most dramatically. All right, y'all. Now we're entering the deep end. The part where private chaos collides with public spectacle, and the fallout hits harder than anyone expected. Because by this point, the drama isn't just about warnings ignored or subtle manipulations anymore. It's about consequences, alliances breaking, and the truth finally clawing its way into daylight. Sources close to the situation say the first real turning point came after a series of private confrontations leaked online. Clips, screenshots, and inside commentary started painting a picture no one could ignore. Friends who had previously stayed neutral reportedly split into camps, some defending Charlie, some quietly acknowledging Erika's influence. And the whispers? They turned into viral debates overnight. People were dissecting every interaction like forensic detectives, parsing emotion, strategy, and intent. Family members say it was the kind of pressure that makes you question everything. Late-night phone calls became common. "You have to see this," one parent allegedly said. "This isn't just about mistakes. It's about understanding the game before it's too late." And insiders say Charlie, now fully aware of the stakes, started to realize the magnitude of influence he'd underestimated. But the escalation wasn't just digital, it was deeply personal. Erika, according to multiple sources, continued her calculated approach, testing boundaries in public spaces, subtly shifting social dynamics, and keeping Charlie constantly off balance. She wasn't reckless, one insider said. She knew the power of subtlety. Every move was measured, every word designed to provoke and analyze. Every word designed to provoke and analyze. And that's what made the story so viral. It wasn't chaos for chaos's sake. It was strategic, psychological warfare wrapped in charm. Now let's break down the turning points. Sources say a critical moment occurred during a high-profile public appearance. Charlie, reportedly flustered and visibly distracted, reacted to comments in ways that insiders describe as uncharacteristic and telling. Erika, meanwhile, maintained her composure, giving the appearance of control while subtly highlighting his vulnerabilities. Observers later dissected the video online, noting body language, pauses, and the small micro-expressions that revealed the real tension beneath the surface. Friends close to Charlie say that after this, trust became the currency of every interaction. Alliances shifted. People who had previously offered advice began stepping back, realizing their counsel might be ignored or, worse, weaponized. "It's like a chessboard," one aide said, and Charlie didn't realize all the pieces had moved before he even noticed the game had started. And that's when the real psychological weight set in. Reports suggest Charlie started questioning his own judgment, replaying months of warnings from his parents, revisiting subtle signs from friends, and realizing how much influence Erika had wielded without him fully seeing it. The story wasn't just scandal, it was an intense, high-stakes lesson in human behavior, influence, and trust. But y'all know how these things go. Once the leaks hit, the public picks it up and things spiral fast. Social media became a battlefield. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, every platform exploded with analysis. People were connecting dots, posting side-by-side comparisons, even creating breakdown videos of body language and text patterns. Charlie Kirk's private life, once insulated, became a real-time viral case study in manipulation, ego, and ambition. Insiders say this public attention added pressure to an already volatile situation. Erika reportedly thrived in it. Not in a malicious sense, but in the way a strategist thrives when chaos validates their calculations. Every leaked screenshot, every viral clip, every public reaction only solidified her presence in the narrative. Charlie, meanwhile, had to navigate the dual realities of personal betrayal and public scrutiny. And here's where it gets truly twisted. Sources claim there was a moment when Charlie's parents considered going fully public to warn him again. "We tried everything privately," one insider said. But when the stakes are this high, sometimes the world becomes the messenger. They debated interviews, opinion pieces, and strategic leaks. But Charlie, sources say, insisted on handling it internally, even as social media continued to amplify every misstep. Meanwhile, Erika's influence reportedly extended beyond personal dynamics into Charlie's professional circles. Friends and associates claim subtle shifts in meetings, priorities, and public messaging were occurring, often without Charlie fully realizing why. "It's like the environment itself changed," one aide said. "And when the change is subtle, you don't see it until you're already reacting to it." But this isn't just about manipulation, it's about emotional impact. Sources say Charlie experienced a mix of frustration, regret, and awakening. Texts leaked from private conversations reveal tension and honesty rarely shared publicly. "You think I don't see what's happening? Every move counts, and I'm learning. Too late, maybe." Family and friends reportedly felt a mix of vindication and heartbreak. Vindication because their warnings were finally understood. Heartbreak because the lessons came at such a high emotional cost. And the viral public? They were captivated. Memes, analysis threads, and commentary videos dissected every nuance, making the private struggle a global conversation about influence, loyalty, and foresight. As the story progressed, insiders claim Charlie began reassessing his circle. Who could be trusted? Who had been strategic all along? And who was inadvertently amplifying the chaos? Erika, sources say, remained a master of subtlety, knowing which moves to pull back, when to disappear from public scrutiny, and when to push just enough to maintain influence. And that's the part that makes the story sticky, viral, and twisted. It's less about scandal and more about control, perception, and survival. The climax, according to multiple sources, came during a private confrontation where months of tension finally boiled over. Words were exchanged, raw, unfiltered, emotional. Allegedly, Charlie confronted Erika directly. "This isn't just personal. You've been playing a game with my life." "Was it ever just personal?" She allegedly replied, calm but cutting. Insiders described the room as electric, a mix of fear, anger, and realization. Friends say this was the moment Charlie fully understood what his parents had warned him about, and the public, through leaks and social media commentary, witnessed a lesson in power dynamics, emotional intelligence, and personal boundaries unfold in real time. Afterwards, sources claim there was a period of reflection, recalibration, and quiet strategy. Charlie reportedly began rebuilding trust with key friends and family members, reassessing relationships, and learning the subtle art of reading influence, skills he had previously underestimated. Erika, on the other hand, remained a polarizing figure, respected by some, criticized by others, but undeniably central to the narrative that had captured public attention. And here's the broader lesson insiders say we all can take from this story. Charm. Influence and perception are powerful, but ignoring warnings, even from those closest to you, can be catastrophic. The story isn't just drama for clicks. It's a cautionary tale about trust, ego, ambition, and the hidden dynamics that govern high-stakes relationships. Public fascination hasn't waned. Analysts, commentators, and social media sleuths continue to piece together what happened behind closed doors. Every leak, every post, every cryptic message keeps fueling speculation. And the truth? It's layered, messy, and real. A viral lesson in understanding human behavior and the power of foresight. By the end, sources say Charlie Kirk is reportedly taking stock. The public chaos has calmed slightly, but the personal lessons remain vivid. Friends and family insist he's more cautious now, more aware of subtle influence, and more appreciative of the warnings that, at first, seemed like background noise. And Erika, her legacy in this narrative, whether controversial or strategic, is cemented as a central figure in a story that captivated the public, taught lessons, and exposed the hidden power plays behind high-profile relationships. And y'all, let's be real, this story isn't done. The leaks, insights, and reflections keep coming. Every interaction, every social media post, and every private conversation that surfaces is another viral beat in a story that blends psychology, strategy, loyalty, and ambition in a way that's too real to ignore. So when you step back, the bigger picture is clear. Charlie Kirk's journey here is a lesson in listening to warnings, reading influence, and balancing trust with caution. Erika's moves, calculated or intuitive, reveal the delicate dance of perception and control. And the public? We get to witness it all. Live, viral, and impossible to look away from. This is the kind of story that makes headlines, trends for weeks, and lingers in conversations long after the posts disappear. And for those paying attention, it's more than drama. It's a blueprint for understanding power, relationships, and the subtle forces that shape decisions in high-stakes environments. The tension, the viral leaks, the emotional highs and lows. This isn't just a story about a relationship. It's a real-time case study in strategy, trust, and consequence, played out on a stage millions of people can watch and analyze. And the truth? It's messy, twisted, and impossible to ignore. Because in the end, the story of Charlie Kirk and Erika isn't just about who did what. It's about how warnings go unheeded, how influence can shift in silence, and how the public becomes a witness to lessons that should have been private. And that's what makes it viral, twisted, and unforgettable. By the time we get to this chapter of the saga, y'all already know the stakes are insane. Trust shattered, alliances redefined, and every move under a microscope. But here's where things get darker, more twisted, and honestly, way messier than anyone could have imagined. Because after months of tension, viral leaks, and public scrutiny, Charlie Kirk and Erika's story isn't just about manipulation. It's about the collapse of carefully curated images and the hidden truths people try to bury. Sources close to the situation say things escalated after a weekend. Retreat, private, off the grid, supposed to be a break from the chaos. But insiders tell a different story. Erika reportedly came prepared, reading the room, testing boundaries, and forcing Charlie into decisions that left him questioning everything he thought he knew. Friends who were present say it was electric, the kind of tension you can feel just by being near. Every glance, every pause, every word had weight. And the public? They'd never see the full footage, but the snippets that leaked were enough to break the internet. One source described a pivotal exchange. Charlie, you said what? I thought I knew you. You said what? I thought I knew you. Erika, did you ever really know me? Or were you just seeing what you wanted? According to insiders, it wasn't just a fight, it was a psychological ambush. Charlie reportedly started noticing patterns he hadn't before. Subtle manipulations, intentional provocation, and strategic silences. People around him began whispering, realizing he was walking through a maze designed to make him look like the reactive one. And that's what made it viral. The tension was palpable, almost cinematic, but rooted in reality. The aftermath of that weekend allegedly shifted everything. Friends say Charlie began isolating himself, taking calls selectively, and evaluating every piece of advice he'd ignored. Family members reportedly worried about the mental and emotional toll. He's learning lessons the hard way, one insider said. But these lessons, they're going to stick forever. Meanwhile, Erika's influence continued to ripple outward. Leaks suggest she subtly inserted herself into Charlie's professional dealings, not overtly, but enough to make insiders nervous. It's like she's everywhere and nowhere, one aide explained. You feel her impact before you see her presence. Analysts online dissected every public post, tweet, and speech. People were connecting dots, predicting reactions, and debating who really had the upper hand. And every time Charlie reacted publicly, fans debated, was he losing control, or was he just learning the game? Then came the real turning point, the confrontation that everyone would be talking about for months. Sources say it wasn't a private conversation, it was a strategic, high-tension face-off. Charlie, frustrated and cornered, finally spoke his mind, addressing not just Erika, but the whispers, the leaks, and the growing public spectacle. Charlie, this isn't just about us anymore. Everyone's watching, everyone's judging, and I'm done being the punchline. Erika, funny, I never thought you were the joke. I thought you were the test. And tests are supposed to challenge you. Insiders claim the exchange lasted hours, a mental and emotional chess game. Every word, every glance, every sigh was measured. And while the public only caught glimpses through leaked messages and snippets, those who were present say it changed the trajectory of their dynamic entirely. Charlie, sources note, emerged more self-aware, cautious, and strategic. Erika, still enigmatic, still calculating, still controlling the narrative in ways most people didn't fully grasp. But here's the twist. The viral aftermath wasn't about who was right or wrong. It was about perception. Social media erupted, breaking the story into endless debates. Loyalty, manipulation, ego, and ambition all dissected under a microscope. Memes, reaction videos, and opinion threads flooded platforms. Every small action by either party became a teaching moment, a cautionary tale, or fuel for online drama. And Charlie, sources say, learned that once a story goes viral, control is almost impossible. Insiders also reveal that Charlie's parents were quietly observing from the sidelines, stepping in only when absolutely necessary. They knew the only way he'd learn was by experiencing the consequences, one source said. And in hindsight, it seems their initial warnings weren't just prudent, they were prophetic. Every misstep, every subtle manipulation, every leak was a real-world lesson in human behavior, influence, and trust. Meanwhile, Erika reportedly played her part like a masterclass in subtlety. Friends say she never overplayed her hand, never crossed certain lines, but maintained a constant, invisible pressure that forced Charlie to adapt. Analysts online called it psychological strategy at its finest, while insiders saw the emotional toll it took on him. And the thing about this kind of influence? You often don't see it until you've already reacted, and then it's too late. Then came the final viral spike, a public interview where Charlie, for the first time, spoke about the chaos in his own words. He didn't name names, he didn't air every grievance, but his tone, his pauses, and the subtle admissions told the story loud enough for millions to analyze. Clips went viral within hours, dissected frame by frame, body language by body language. Fans debated, journalists speculated, and social media exploded with theories. Sources claim the interview revealed the psychological toll, the lessons learned, and the slow realization that influence is more than manipulation. It's perception, subtlety, and strategy. Charlie reportedly admitted privately afterward that he finally understood why his parents had warned him. He also admitted something more vulnerable, that for all his public confidence, he had underestimated how much a single person's presence could destabilize everything. And that's the lesson this chapter leaves us with. The story isn't just drama, it's a blueprint. It's about trust, boundaries, perception, and how unchecked influence can shape the course of someone's life in ways the public barely glimpses. Erika's role, controversial or admired, highlights that influence often isn't loud. It's quiet, consistent, and calculated. And Charlie? He learned that fame, ambition, and ego are fragile when tested against real strategy. Even now, months later, sources say the ripple effects are still being felt. Charlie reportedly continues to evaluate relationships, social dynamics, and professional decisions through a new lens. Erika's actions, still partially shrouded in mystery, continue to be dissected by those watching from the sidelines. And the public? They continue to consume, debate, and learn from every leak, clip, or analysis thread that surfaces. At its core, this chapter reminds us why some stories go viral and stay viral. It's not about scandal for scandal's sake. It's about psychology, strategy, human behavior, and consequences all playing out in a very public arena. It's about the lessons you don't see coming and the subtle forces shaping actions behind closed doors. And it's about understanding that every viral moment, every leaked clip, and every whispered warning has weight, meaning, and impact. So as the story moves forward, insiders believe Charlie is approaching life differently. He's more aware, more cautious, and more attuned to the subtleties of influence and manipulation. Erika, meanwhile, remains a polarizing figure, Respected by some, criticized by others, but undeniably a master of strategy and perception. And the public? We continue to witness the fallout, dissect the drama, and extract lessons from every twist and turn. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just a story about a relationship gone sideways. It's a viral living lesson in power, influence, trust, and perception, played out on a stage millions can watch, analyze, and learn from. And for Charlie Kirk, the journey is far from over. Every viral leak, every subtle shift, every social media spike is another chapter in a story that's messy, twisted, and absolutely unforgettable. And now, y'all, here's the part where we step back and look at the bigger picture. Because this story, it ain't just drama for clicks, it's a masterclass in influence, trust, and human behavior. Charlie Kirk's journey, Erika's calculated moves, the viral leaks, the public debates. It's all a lesson in how quickly control can slip, how subtle manipulation can shift everything, and how warnings from the people who care most are sometimes the hardest to follow. Think about it. Millions of eyes watched, dissected, and judged, but the real story was always happening behind the scenes. The texts that didn't make it online, the late-night conversations, the internal reckoning, that tension between public perception and private reality, that's the heartbeat of this saga. And it's what makes it so wild, twisted, and unforgettable. Here's the real question for y'all. What would you have done in Charlie's shoes? Ignored the warnings, kept rolling with the public persona, or pulled back before things got out of hand? And Erika, strategist or manipulator, charm or chaos, this story isn't just about personalities. It's about power, psychology, and the consequences of influence. And let's be real, this isn't over. Every viral clip, every leaked screenshot, every social media thread keeps adding layers. What we're seeing now is only the tip of the iceberg. Lessons are being learned, reputations are being tested, and trust? That's always the hardest currency to earn back. So, here's where you come in. Drop your thoughts below. Did Charlie go too far? Or did he finally wake up to the reality around him? Did Erika cross a line? Or was this just strategic genius? And while you're thinking, hit that subscribe button, because this story is far from finished, and we're gonna be here for every twist, leak, and revelation that comes next. Remember, in the world of influence, control is never guaranteed, and the lesson? Watch closely, because there's always more happening behind the scenes than anyone sees.